Hi everyone, my name is Mahi and welcome back to Close Encounters, the podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Close Encounters, the podcast where we bring on students who inspire all of us. My name is Mahi, your host. My guest today is someone who has masterfully balanced the art of balancing his academics while also doing other things like music and learning science and going on adventures. He was recently a Cambridge A-level topper, which is like really, really smart. And he has a lot of incredible skills under his belt. We're going to explore all of those things. He recently graduated high school and he is starting a new journey of going to university. So to discuss all of that and more, let's welcome my guest today, Shreyas. Hi. Hi.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, no worries. You can just call me Mahi. It's okay. You don't
Oh,
have to call me
my
Mahi.
bad.
No worries. It's okay. So how are you? How's life? What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Yeah, my summer break is right now nearly at an end. I've been on break for nearly 3 months right now. Wait, sorry,
Oh,
not
cool.
3 months. Probably like a bit more than 2 months. And I'm leaving for USA in a week's time. So right now I'm busy with packing and doing my online orientation before I actually head off to university.
So
So it's
how are
like
you
busy time
feeling?
right now.
Like, are you like nervous? I know it's taken up a lot of your time. It's like really stressful. So are you feeling like nervous? Or are you excited? Like, how are you feeling?
Well, I won't lie. Going to like a completely different place for the first time and uh, pursuing higher education there is a bit was a bit daunting for me initially, but over time, I did do more research into that university, understanding what kind of student life is there, the organizations present, and I even spoke to some of the incoming freshmen in there. And now, more than being nervous, I'm actually more excited to go into university. Yes, I understand it is a new chapter into my life, but at the same time, it's also going to be a completely different experience where I can immerse myself in everything that is present there. Because the thing about university that makes it different from school is that there's significantly more opportunities present, both academically and outside of studies. And that'll basically give me the chance to rediscover myself and try to tap into, certain new areas where
Hmm.
I'll most likely be able to fit in. So that's something I'm really excited about.
Amazing. That's great. Excellent. Are you looking forward to living by yourself? Is this like your first time being on your own?
Yes, this will be my first real experience of living by myself because I've been born and brought up my whole life in Abu Dhabi in the UAE with my family. So, yeah, this will be my first experience living alone. Yeah, it is like a bit intimidating, but thankfully I'll be with a roommate and there'll be lots of others who'll also be experiencing like the same thing as me. So, um, yeah, at the same time, I'm also quite excited because this will be an amazing opportunity for me to actually be more independent, improve like certain skills within me, such as making more independent decisions and being more street smart. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, that's great. So let's see. You told me that you want to study physics. That's what you're pursuing, and I
Yes.
I love that. That's super exciting. So what really made you want to study physics? What is it about it? Is there a specific area of focus you have in mind?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so since the start of high school, I've felt that I've particularly excelled in both math and physics. And not only have I done well in those subjects, I've always been really passionate about learning new concepts, new and intriguing concepts in those fields for that matter. And so over time, this has led me to take up online courses in physics in particular as well as read books by famous physics lecturers uh, on certain areas of physics, such as astronomy and quantum physics in particular. And so over time, I've developed a particular interest towards quantum and particle physics. So those
Love
are
that.
two specific fields that I'd really like to explore while I'm at university. Talk to my professors about it, do courses associated with those fields, and get into like research opportunities in those fields. So that's something I'm really looking forward to while I'm at university.
So as I mentioned in the beginning, you're a Cambridge A-level topper recently, and
Yes.
you just graduated this year. First of all, congratulations. Great
Thank you
job.
so much.
You're welcome. So I know that being like when it comes to being like academically smart, after a while, you're constantly getting the good grades. You kind of get known for it in school. So in a way, it takes a lot of pressure to be that good. So how did it feel, preparing for your final exams is just like the final step to finishing all of it? And what did those like final moments feel like for you?
Do you mean my final moments as I was preparing for my A levels?
Honestly, let's speak it a two-parter. How did it feel when you were writing your exam and you're like, okay, this is my last one. I'm almost done with it. And then how did it feel once you realized, you graduated and you're just like, oh wow, now this is like I'm done with school all at once.
Well, I mean, right before the exam, there's always that small feeling of apprehension, obviously, because
Mm,
you have absolutely 0% idea of what to expect in the question paper. Maybe it could have been something that would, throw you off the hook completely, or it may be just another walk in the park because of everything that you've prepared for prior to the exam. But then, as you're writing the exam, even though it may sometimes be a challenging exam, even if the questions do appear to be daunting, um, yeah, one thing that has kept me grounded and concentrated while giving the exam is no matter the end outcome, I've made it this far. As in, I had given my IGCSEs and AS level obviously prior to doing my A levels, right? So
yeah.
I've successfully managed to complete those examinations. And if I
Mm,
was successfully able to do so for those, then why not for my A levels as well? So it's that feeling of, you know, pride within myself for being where I am right now that has made me stay positive and concentrated while giving my examinations and basically curtailing that fear of the end outcome.
wow. So you're like a very, would you say you're super academic focused? Like when you are studying, you're like all in, no distractions, like I'm gonna do my best, obviously.
Yeah, that's how I would like to put it, honestly. I mean, it's not to say that I study 24/7. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's not a suitable method of studying for anyone, no matter what grades they wish to achieve. I do take some time out for myself to, enjoy myself outside of studies, go out for cycling, listening to music, spending time with my families, watching TV. But when I'm studying, at that moment, I'm fully immersed in my
Mm,
studies. I dedicate myself to ensure that nothing in the slightest can distract me because
mm.
there will be time for myself when I can enjoy, take some downtime away from my studies. But when I'm studying, I need to give my 100% at that moment.
Wow. So you just mentioned you like listening to a lot of music, you like watching TV when it comes to like de-stressing yourself. Can you
Yes.
tell me some of your favorite shows and some of your favorite musicians? I'm really curious.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. Let's start off with shows because I'm someone who loves a good sitcom. So,
Yes.
yeah, sitcoms are like just amazing, It's just, and plus there's so many good comfort shows among these sitcoms, If you have like a long or stressful day, at
Yeah.
school, or even for some people at work, they can just come back home and just, de-stress. That's the beauty of sitcoms. So my personal
Yeah.
favorites are Friends and Modern Family.
Oh my God, same. I love them all. Great
Yeah,
choice.
they're like just like simply well written. The cast, the acting, the
Yeah.
storyline, it's just like easy to get addicted. But
Yeah, the
currently,
comedy and everything is like so funny.
exactly. Yeah, so currently I'm in the process of binge watching two shows actually, Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon.
Dude, oh my God, you're the first person who says they watch Big Bang Theory. Oh my God.
Really?
Yes.
I expected many more to be fans.
they always say, oh, we've heard of it, and but like, I never really got into it. It's the best. Oh my God.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so amazing.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, from Young
Big Bang
Sheldon?
Theory. Yeah,
Yeah,
Big Bang
from Big
Theory and
Bang
Young Sheldon.
Theory. Um, I mean, I'd probably have to say a tie between Sheldon and Raj. Raj, because he's obviously
Oh,
relatable, given the fact that I am an Indian, plus,
mm,
the actor of Raj, like, is just too funny.
yeah,
And obviously Sheldon, because of his peculiar behavior,
yeah,
his
obviously.
mannerisms, his
Yeah,
childlike behavior. It's just too entertaining.
yeah. What about Young Sheldon? Who's your favorite on there?
Young Sheldon, I would have to go with the twins, both Sheldon and Missy. Obviously, they're like
Oh,
two complete
amazing.
opposites, but then
Yeah,
see, Sheldon is like um, this kid who's obviously going to be the next Einstein
yeah,
and is undoubtedly academically smart. But then Missy, on the other hand, is like I'd say more street smart. She
yeah.
does these small, small things to get her way. She's good at reading other people, so that's like interesting to watch.
Amazing. I love that you said Big Bang Theory, and I found someone else who watches the same show as me, because I love that
Yeah,
show
it's
so
just
much.
simply amazing. Like
It is.
many more people should be watching it because it's simply like too good. Initially,
Exactly.
like I found the first few episodes a bit boring and like repetitive, but then as I progressed, I just couldn't stop myself. I
Exactly.
just
It
couldn't stop
becomes super
watching like
addicting.
crazy. Yeah, I know.
So, what about your favorite music? Who are some of your favorite artists?
Um, Honestly, I listen to multiple genres of music, so
Mm.
I don't have like a specific in mind.
Mm.
Some of the main ones that I do listen to are, hip hop, Bollywood. Um, Occasionally I listen to pop. From hip hop, I would probably have to go with, artists like, Drake, Kendrick.
Ooh.
Especially what's been happening between Drake and
Yeah.
Kendrick. That has like caught
Yeah.
my attention. So yeah, but I like and like respect both artists. Eminem,
Ah, old school. I like
um,
it.
and yeah, from pop I listen to a few, The Weeknd in particular, like is my favorite pop
Yes.
artist. Like I like some of his albums. He makes like some really good music. Like the
Yeah.
lyrics can be a bit depressing, but still like the I mean anyone who's a Weeknd fan can obviously agree with me, but still like the music quality and production like compensates for it.
Love that. So let's continue our music conversation as we go. Something I really admire and I like about you is the fact that you've been playing the piano for like more than a decade of your life, which is, I
Yeah,
want to say, like really, really crazy because it's such a beautiful instrument. So
definitely.
I'm really curious to know, how has playing the piano like personally influenced your life in a way, and how has that like changed your relationship with like music in general?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so obviously I started piano at a very young age. I was only 7 years old at that time.
Mm.
And yeah, the first piece that I actually learned to play was Ode to Joy by Beethoven. So
Wow.
at that time, it was like a classical piece, right? That was like something my teacher actually forced me to play because obviously it's something specifically designed for, a beginner in piano, right? So
Mm.
at that time, I wanted to play some, interesting music that I would listen to, on the radio or on the TV or whatever the hype was back then. So I was initially bored of that piece, but like once I actually learned how to play it, I, felt proud of myself. I was like, this is my first piece ever. So, that sense of confidence motivated me to carry on with by playing more pieces. So, when I started off with Ode to Joy, I realized that to actually learn many more pieces on the piano, I needed to start somewhere, right? At
Mhm.
ground zero, right? And then I would work my way up that ladder and gradually learn to play more complex and much more challenging pieces along the way. So, in a way, I would say this has taught me, the value of practice and perseverance because obviously you can't expect to, become skilled at a certain practice, overnight, right? It takes
Mm.
a lot of time. But in the end, all your efforts will make it worth it. So I would say, yeah, music has definitely taught me the value of uh, perseverance and hard work. And actually, as I progressed in my musical journey, um, some of the most notable pieces that I played have taught some certain values to me. So, for example, there's one piece that I learned while I was 13 or 14, was named Nostalgia by Yanni.
Oh,
So,
I know that. Yeah.
you know that piece.
Yeah,
It's
I
one of my
think I've
favorites.
seen it. Yeah, I've heard it a couple times.
Yeah, so as I was playing that piece, I was able to reflect on my own childhood, especially given the time that I was experiencing adolescence. So
Mm,
it made me reflect on my time as a childhood, all the wonderful memories I had, and also what was to come, ahead of me. Because obviously, the road to adulthood would not be an easy journey, obviously, given the amount of changes I
yeah.
would be experiencing, both physically and mentally. But still, it made me realize that I would not be alone in this journey. So that was something that nostalgia kind of conveyed as I was learning and playing it. And
Wow.
aside from learning pieces on the piano, I would also learn music theory as well, especially during this one summer camp that I went two years ago in the summer of 2022, where I spent 3 weeks in Chennai at the KM Music Conservatory. So it was basically a 3 week in person a musical course where they would delve into certain topics in music theory and not just classical music, which at that time I was completely used to learning about. It would also teach me about some of the characteristics and qualities of Indian music, Carnatic music in particular, as that was obviously very popular in Chennai, where I studied. And so that instilled within me, I'd say, a sense of cultural appreciation because it taught me that there was more than just classical music out there. There's so many different varieties of music which share both similarities and differences to what I'd already been accustomed to. So, learning about Carnatic music was obviously very interesting, but it also made me more curious to explore other genres along the way. So, in a way, it did open my eyes to what was there for the world around me. So that was another thing I learned during my time learning the piano.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was like, so you have like a really strong connection with the instrument that goes like way, way back in time. So do
Yeah.
you ever just like randomly, you're sitting on the piano and you're like playing around, do you ever come up with your own sort of melodies?
Um, yeah, occasionally I sometimes do that. Like sometimes when I'm, practicing a certain scale because I do exams for piano orchestrated by Trinity College London. So as part of their exam syllabus, I have to learn certain scales which get more complex as I progress. And so, as I'm learning these different scales, for example, a complex scale in music theory would be something like F flat minor, F
Mm,
sharp major, F sharp minor, I mean. And so, as I'm like just learning that entire scale, I sometimes think if I stick within the scale, I can literally play whatever I want. So, as long as it follows a certain scale, which obviously any piece in classical music should, you can literally create anything you want, any random combination of notes and keys at any tempo you want. You can make it as slow and fast as you want. It can either be like a jazz piece, something more melodious, something upbeat, something a bit, melancholic. And so, as I was learning each of these scales, I would occasionally, just uh, forgive me for a lack of better word, but I would say fidget along the keys of the piano and try to see what I could possibly come up with.
wow. I love how like passionate you are about it. So I just, do you think you often get to like talk about your love for piano and how passionate you are about it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Most of my friends, I mean, I wouldn't say they don't know anything about music, but um, they may not be as interested,
Mm,
or passionate about music, but that's actually one of the reasons why I'm excited to go to college because um, I have been messaging certain people at my university, UC San Diego, and a good number of them have also been learning the piano and are equally as passionate about classical music as I am. So I got to exchange ideas on the different classical pieces we enjoy listening to, and I even got to learn some about some famous composers that I had previously never even heard about. So, yeah, in university, I hope to make more such friends who share the same passion about music in general as much as I do.
Wow. So I saw that you recently got to play the piano at your high school graduation, in front of your
Yeah.
family and friends and your teachers. So what did that feel like? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so as I was walking on stage, playing the keyboard, it was a bit of an emotional moment because, first of all, it's obviously a graduation, right? It's
Yeah.
the end of a certain era in your life where
Mm.
you'd spent so many years, with teachers, students, and just being in that school environment, right? So it was an end of an era. And plus, playing piano in front of the whole audience. In particular, the song that I was playing, Nostalgia by Yanni, that was the song I was playing. Um, Playing that particular song in front of everyone really made me realize, how far I'd come across um, in my school. Because the thing is, I joined my school, Cambridge High School, in year eight. And so transitioning to a new environment initially was difficult for me, especially given shortly after that there was the COVID-19 pandemic, which, limited so many opportunities, both academically and outside of academics in school, and plus expanding my friend circle. So, um, playing that song in front of everyone made me realize how far I'd come in terms of not just progressing through the grades, but also, overcoming any obstacles that I may have come across during my time at school. And so that was really a beautiful moment for me.
So can you play a few keys of the song for me on the piano right now?
You want me to play right now? By Yami.
Mm-hmm. great job. Wow. Amazing. So
Thank you.
good. That was so good. Wow. It
Thank
was
you so much.
you're welcome. You're welcome. That was so good. All right, wow. That was really good. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
playing it for
much.
us. That was so good. You should definitely take this forward. Like, do you ever like plan
Definitely.
on, yeah, do you plan on doing this a lot more in the future as you grow older?
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, I've already been doing like research in about university related clubs that allow me to play and perform, piano or even keyboard for that matter. So I've already been doing research into such opportunities that allow me to continue my and expand on my musical journey while I'm at university. So I would 100% continue with my pursuit of learning and mastering the piano, even in the future.
So, if you, last piano question, by the way, I'm really intrigued to know. Now, if you had the opportunity to perform, the piano in front of any musician live, like who would you do it in front of? It could be dead or alive. Like, who would you want to do it for?
Yes, yes.
We just have a lot of issues today. We don't know what's up. Okay. So, we'll do another reading. Now, if you could play the piano live for any musician, who would you play it for?
Well, that is a bit of a difficult question because there's so many musicians out there. So, if I could play the piano in front of a certain musician, um, can it be, does it have to be someone who's currently alive or
Dead or alive, it literally doesn't matter. It could be like Beethoven or someone.
I think I would probably have to go with someone like Bach because Johann Sebastian Bach.
Wow. Okay. I see the vision. That's
Because
great.
the thing about Bach is that he is one of the oldest composers in the field
Mm.
of music. So he composed music during what was called the Baroque period of music. And so I'm pretty sure if I played the piano, his pieces in particular, in front of him, especially since considering I have been learning a lot of Bach pieces during my entire musical journey. He would probably be intrigued as to how far music has come, in terms of the new instruments, because during his time, the modern piano that we now know of obviously did not exist back then. So I would definitely say that I would perform in front of Bach so that he can see how far music has come since his time period, if he was still here.
Wow. That's really fascinating. That's good to know. So, another interesting thing about you is the fact that you are also a certified scuba diver, which is like
Yes.
you're the first person with that kind of hobby I've come across. So
Oh,
what made you want to go like, okay, I'm gonna like voluntarily go underwater and stay there and see what's up? Like, what led you to sort of scuba diving?
so first there's two things. Yeah. So firstly, I used to go for a lot of swimming classes when I was a child. Swimming was also something that I really like to do. It was like a hobby for me. So whenever I would get the chance, I would definitely do swimming. And so that was a certain interest for me that led me to pursue scuba diving. Because to do scuba diving, you would need to be somewhat uh, already knowing the basics of swimming. And so that prerequisite I had already met. So that was one of the reasons that led me to do scuba diving. And also, secondly, was during the time when I first enrolled for scuba diving, it was in the second month of my summer break, this summer break. And so by then, a lot of my friends had already gone off to their universities because the thing about UC San Diego is that it starts 1 month later than most American universities. And so at that time, I really didn't have much going on. So I just decided to pursue scuba diving because, I mean, why not? Ultimately, it is something that I would definitely enjoy doing. And plus, I didn't have anything else going on at that time. So I just decided to, make it a reality. And plus, I'd already done scuba diving once during my vacation to Thailand, obviously with the help of an instructor. But this time I decided to just learn it by myself.
So what's like the weirdest or the scariest thing you've come across underwater so far?
Um, In terms of like, yeah, do you mean like in terms of like animals or what exactly?
Yeah, animals, anything, absolutely anything. You're literally underwater, so there are a lot of new things that you're coming across.
I would say the scariest thing that has happened to me while I was underwater was probably it was during one of my first dives, where when you're underwater, especially for extended periods of time, you'd have to use an oxygen tank, obviously,
Yeah.
right? That's the only way you can literally breathe underwater. And so initially I was doing okay, but during one particular dive, I found it more challenging to breathe underwater because I think it was probably because I'd spent more than the required amount of time underwater. So I was feeling a bit breathless. And so as that was happening, I started to panic a bit. But then
Mm.
thankfully, the dive wasn't that deep. So I was able to get up easily. So I would say, yeah, that was probably the scariest thing to happen to me. In terms of aquatic wildlife, I'll be honest, there wasn't much aquatic wildlife during my dive. Probably it was because we didn't really dive in a particular area which had an abundance of such wildlife. But yeah, I would say the scariest moment to me was my breathlessness.
Ouch. My God, that is scary. All right, so I have one last question before we play a little exciting game to wrap things up. So, do you think that, like, any personal experiences or some situations that you go through in real life act as like a means of inspiration for you in any way?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think I'd already mentioned this previously in the podcast, but um, it was when I first joined my school, Cambridge High School. At that time, prior to joining Cambridge High School, I had studied in an Indian curriculum, so
Mm.
completely CBSE for 5 to 6 years. So transitioning to a completely new environment, a British curriculum environment, was challenging for me. During the first year, I even had trouble, making my friend circle.
Mm.
And by the time my second year of Cambridge High School began, came the COVID-19 pandemic. And so that ultimately deprived me of much social interaction. Um, Obviously, there was platforms like Zoom, but they didn't provide the same effect, the same joy that you would get when you meet a person, physically, right? And so,
Yeah.
due to lockdowns, online learning, that ultimately, had an impact on my overall mood. So most of the days I would just be, just drifting about, like a bit purposeless. And so when the lockdowns were eased and um, schools were reopened, obviously with COVID-19 protocols, but still, when schools did reopen, my first priority at that time was to get myself out of that situation that I was, um, you know, picking up from where I had left off prior to schools being shut down. And so that did take a lot of time, but eventually I did make it. And at the end, I did have, a good friend circle at the end. And also while maintaining my grades, not slipping academically. And so in the end, I realized that no matter how bad a situation is, nothing lasts forever, right? Everything in
Mm.
life is temporary, whether it may be a good experience or a bad experience. So that is a certain lesson, life lesson, that has stuck with me till this day. And every day when I wake up, I tell myself this.
Wow, that is so thoughtful and so positive, and I love that about you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing that. So now we're gonna get into the final part of our episode. Just a little rapid fire game that I came up with. So don't think too much. Just say the first thing that comes to mind, and yeah, just get all excited. Just
Oh,
prepare
I've heard of this
yourself.
game before.
Yeah, it's really fun. So just like prepare yourself and just yeah, all right. So, what is one sea creature you'd like to cross paths with?
A mermaid?
Oh, really?
That was the first thing that came to mind. You said the first thing that comes to mind.
So That is really
So such
fascinating.
questions I need to.
Do you believe that they exist?
No,
Oh, okay, that's
I
disappointing,
don't
but
know why I said that.
it's okay. But that's actually really good. You're the first person who literally said the first thing that came to their mind. So good job on that. You're already doing great. So, if you had to give a theme song to literally every embarrassing moment that's ever happened in your life, which song would you pick for that?
Um, uh, okay, you kind of got me there. Can you ask a different question?
No,
Oh my God. Embarrassing song. Look what you
not
made me do.
literally Girl by Taylor Swift.
That was the first thing that came to mind.
You're talking to like a certified Swiftie, okay?
Uh,
Okay. It's okay. I'll take your answer. You're being honest. I appreciate
yeah,
that. All right. If you could immerse yourself into literally any cinematic movie universe, which one would you go for?
I would probably say, tripping over an iron rod and flying 100 meters before falling flat on my face.
What? Is that a
No, you
movie?
said no, but see, in some movies, like Bollywood in particular, you see like some guy just like falling and then
Ah,
he
a
just doesn't seem to
scenario.
exist,
Yeah,
right?
all
You
right.
said like a cinematic
Okay.
way, so that was just something I thought about.
Wow. Okay. So how about like picking like a movie like Avatar or something? I feel like you're like a very Avatar type of guy because for some reason, because you go for like diving and everything, so I kind of associate Avatar with you for some reason. It's Pandora and everything underwater, really
By
cool.
Avatar, you mean like the movie, yeah?
Yeah,
I
it's
have a confession to
underwater.
make. I've never seen the movie.
Don't worry, it's okay. It's fine. It's all underwater, so it's just all cool. It's okay. So, how did it feel when you finished high school? What's like the first thought that came up to your mind? You're just like, how did it feel?
A sense of like accomplishment. It was a
Okay.
bittersweet emotion, right? It was a
Hmm.
mix of like sadness and happiness. I think if you've seen like Inside Out, the movie, you would see
Yeah.
like in the end, the main character Riley has a blend of two emotions, a core memory that is both sadness and happiness. So I
Mm.
would definitely say that's what graduation um, instilled within me. That sort of core
Wow.
memory, the start of a new journey, but then at the same time, a goodbye.
Oh, I love the Inside Out
It's
analogy. That
one
is
of my
so
favorite
cool.
Pixar movies of all time.
I have a confession to make. I haven't watched it, but I know what happens.
Really?
But yeah,
You definitely should. It's
yeah.
literally my favorite Pixar movie of all time.
It's been on my watch list for like a long time, but then I never get around to watching it. Have you watched the second one?
Yeah, I did. Second one was also pretty good, but it's nothing compared to the first one.
Oh, I get
First one is
that.
just too good to beat.
All right. So my final question, and that is, how are you feeling right now? This very second, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like uh, I would not have been able to do something like this 4 years ago, or even like 2 years ago for that matter. So, you know, talking in this very podcast about due to the fact that I did top the A level examinations is something I never would have dreamed about a few years ago, especially since years ago I was going through my own personal stuff. And
Hmm.
so never did I ever think that I could eventually make it this far. So I would probably have to say right now the very emotion that I am experiencing is a sense of achievement.
Wow. Great job.
Thank you.
That concludes our game, and that concludes the end of our episode. But before we wrap things up, is there anything, whatever comes to mind, any words of wisdom, or like, as I see it, wow, because, words of wisdom, it's like saying wow. If there's anything that you want to say, whatever it is, look into your camera and just say it, whatever you want to say.
I think like one message that I would definitely tell the viewers of this very podcast, is don't take yourself too hard, too seriously. Just be yourself, because if people don't like you for who you are, then it's their loss. You are not at fault for being the very person that you are. So rather than fight from it, embrace your own identity, and over time, you'll be more at peace with yourself. And also, just remember to not only focus on your studies 24/7. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Obviously, you should, but just take some time out for yourself. Reward yourself for studying hard when you are studying. And so just pat yourself in the back and say, you've done enough for today. You should be proud of yourself. And you can reward yourself for that. There's no harm in doing that. So um, I'd just like to say that it all works out at the end.
Wow, that was amazing. That was so profound. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for being in our episode and,
Thank you so much for having
talking.
me here.
Oh, no worries. You're welcome. Thank you so much. You definitely gave a very like nuanced perspective on so many things. You're just such a multifaceted person. So thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
being
It
here.
was great knowing you too as well.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you all of you for watching our episode. If you liked it, obviously, thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want to be in our podcast, look around and, get in contact with us. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye from all of us.